Welcome to the Jaron Jarvis channel. I am Jaron Jarvis. Today, I would like to introduce to you why I hate cultural appropriation. A lot of people dismiss it as an SJW thing, but cultural appropriation pisses me off. Here's why. A few years ago, there were a string of bizarre disappearances, I guess, in my sleepy little beachside hometown. All little kids, all under 8, all occurring by the ocean. The whole beach was closed off, but kids would somehow make it through the tape almost sleepwalking while their parents slept. It almost seemed like an easy fix with the use of security cameras, and trust me, we tried, but no matter where the cameras were put or how many there were, we never could find who or what was leading these kids into the void. The whole town lost its fucking mind, understandably. As a high schooler with count 'em, 4 little foster sisters, a chronic babysitting habit, and a deep love of the ocean, I was on the top list of people losing their fucking mind. My parents would lock all the doors every night, my mom installed at least 5 security cameras, and still, the unthinkable happened. My 2 youngest sisters, Bella and Marie, 4 and 6, disappeared. Followed the call. I pored over that security footage for hours, days maybe, long enough that my dad had to hide it from me so I'd stop obsessing. I traced it down all the paths in the town, my little sisters, cute as buttons. Them walking hand in hand, ducking under the construction tape, and walking into the sea. Just like the others. And just like the others, presumed dead. That was over the summer, all those years ago. When I came back to school, I was only one of many who were on the pity watch list. No longer viewed as captain of the swim team, I was Bella and Marie's older brother, and no matter how I sought refuge from the grief that trailed me, signs and news articles were always there to remind me that I'd never seen my baby sisters again. And then lightning struck twice, and one returned. Just Bella, all alone. No one believed it at first, thought she was a fake somehow. And she did look shaken, but I can't confuse my little sister, she was real. Scarred, though her arms and legs ringed with scars from what looked like piranhas. She wouldn't cough up a word about what had happened, about what kind of monster had hurt her, not to mom, to dad, to the cops, not to her 3 remaining sisters. She barely even spoke anymore, choosing to keep her hands in her pockets and her face down. Once the soundest sleeper in the family, Bella never slept anymore, and when she did, it was fleeting, and would cry in her unconsciousness. She didn't so much as play with her toys. It was agonizing to see her in such misery, and watching her all the time took its toll on me until I started to break down, had to go on leave from school for a few weeks. I would stay up with her every night as we both failed to sleep, trying to coax her to tell me what happened, getting nothing, watching movies until sunrise when I passed out from exhaustion. One day, I heard her humming. She'd been known to do that instead of speech, unfamiliar nonsense melodies, following no rhythm or pattern of pitch. But this one, I thought, while I stood in the kitchen warming up fish sticks for dinner, this one was familiar, from before I'd been taken in by my parents. Before my birth family had needed to give me up. Where do you hear that song, Bells? I asked her. She was silent for a long time. I thought she wouldn't answer, but then she just simply said, "The man who took me down." I remembered the piranhas my mother took in as pets, how tender they were even though they looked so tough, staying calm since they knew we were the ones who cared for them. I watched them circle in their tanks, happy as their clam neighbors. We weren't made to live in apartments, my mother said, but there was no home to go back to. Oil companies had made sure of that. A friend from school came over one day and tried to pet one, just like I did. Her hands got all weird and wrinkly and my friend got attacked. Had to go to the hospital and get stitches. I didn't know he couldn't touch them. I tucked Bella into bed with her favorite movie on, and then walked to the beach, ducking under the caution tape. I heard it, all of a sudden, that sweet call to return home, crawl under the blanket of the ocean and sleep safely. But I couldn't be hearing it. I had thought no one knew how to sing it anymore, and if they did, why were they here? Unless I followed the sound into the water. I saw him about 40 feet in, a man on a houseboat, a tank of piranhas visible from inside, the same sort of man who'd have skinned my great-great-grandmother and sold her to a museum, only to be dismissed as a fake. Using my culture, my dying culture, my beautiful, dying culture, to lure children to him. And for what? To kill, rape, maim? I couldn't allow myself to think of it. I allowed myself to circle, making sure he could see me, before I jumped. My secondary teeth hadn't been out in months, not since we'd had lobster for dinner and Dad had let me go outside to go at it, and when they broke through my gums, it hurt. It hurt too when me gills tore back in, and especially when my claws tore out of my fingers. But they helped me, as I pulled out his trachea and threw it into the fish tank, letting the piranhas swarm at what I bet was their first piece of real food in months. And the teeth and gills helped as I grabbed him, pulling chunks of his face out of his still struggling body, pulling him underwater and staining my precious ocean bright red. I devoured all the meat I could, savoring its taste on my tongue, before letting his skeleton sink, climbing back onto his god-forsaken ship, and calling the police from the cell phone he'd left on board. Said I ducked under the tape and been going for a late-night swim when I saw the boat, said he jumped off when he saw me. Said no, I had no idea who he was. Said yes, I was sure he was dead. Notes found on the ship revealed that he had been planning to bribe the city to give the kids back. The kidnapped were in the hull of the ship, packed in with the canned food, severely shaken, but alive. I was hailed as some sort of accidental hero. Yearbook photo on the front of the local news: swim captain finds kidnapper during late night practice. Made good fare for my college essay. Anyways, yeah, that's why I fucking hate cultural appropriation. It's real and it sucks. My culture isn't your murder weapon. So think before you call someone an SJW asshole.